Hey, it's the Scotch Test Dummies. Bart's looking at the box. Compass box, Flaming Heart, finally.
Bingo. Bruno's been wanting to try this for some time. And cars.
New cars.
New cars. Not some old raggedy beat-down car, but a new one.
Let's test it.
Test it. Hey, it's Bart and Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies. Today we're going to be looking at Flaming Heart from Compass Box. And what else, Bruno?
New cars.
Cars, brand new, spanking.
Brand new cars. Let's back up. The other day I'm getting my oil changed. Now, I drive a used vehicle. Of course, everybody drives used vehicles. Once you drive it off the lot, it's used, right?
Yes, the second it leaves the lot.
Anyway, let's say I've got a 2005 Chevy Tahoe. I'm in getting the oil changed, and I go to the dealership for it. So like good maintenance, and they keep a good track on the car.
And they rip you off on the charge that you're always up.
Actually, they are cheaper. The other shop I was going to, which was on the side, the dealership is cheaper than they are. Yeah, it's surprising. That's what I used to think too.
Yeah, like they needed to update your sprocket, and that was going to cost you an extra $250.
No. But anyway, the other day I'm getting my oil change, and you always got to walk around, always peruse the new cars, look at them.
I don't like doing that.
I know.
Like eye candy.
But, okay, so Chevy dealership, on the floor, brand new Corvette Stingray, $67,000.
Wow.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
$67,000, that's a lot of money.
That is.
Now I drive, like I said, a 2005 Chevy Tahoe. So on the lot, or on the show floor, is another new Chevy Tahoe. So I meander over, and I'm like, this is pretty darn nice.
What does your meander look like?
It's a slow roll.
Like you're just like sneaking up on it.
Yes.
Okay.
What's the price of the new Chevy Tahoe?
$58,000.
Wrong.
Dang, what is it?
$70,000.
Holy.
It's more than the Corvette Stingray.
Wow.
When did that happen? That's my point. When did a Chevy Tahoe, because I mean, this was the LTZ model, which is, it's got a few more options, but still.
You can get a house. You get a house for that.
I know.
Like a small old house.
Also on the floor is a four-door Chevy Silverado truck. It was probably a four-wheel drive, kind of a blue color, nothing fancy. How much is it?
$120,000. I don't know.
$64,000.
No! What has it got? A 24-karat gold engine?
$64,000.
My goodness.
I'm like, people are buying these things though. You see them all over. You see brand new cars all over the place.
I'd have to live in it if that was the case.
Who's spending? I mean,
have you checked on Subarus?
No.
I'm dig Subarus, but I don't think
what?
Of the era, I didn't fit in them. But,
okay.
But in 1980, I fit in my first car was a Subaru. It's like a tank. And it's like camouflage. I was speeding.
How is a Subaru like a tank?
Or like, well, first of all, you can't stop.
You just mean it was like really reliable?
Tank. No,
well,
I'm
like
talking
big and heavy.
No, I was in there.
And armor piercing.
Like you can't stop it. I already told you it's not armor piercing. All right, but there was I lived in the mountains, up in the high country is what they called it, high country. Blizzard comes in, drops 3 feet, circles back around, drops another 3. Who gets to work early? I do.
6 feet of snow.
Bingo. I'm not kidding either. Now, first of all, Colorado knows how to clear streets.
Yeah.
They know how to clear them, number one. Second of all, I left early. I'm driving. You could barely tell where you were at. I link up with 2, 3 other cars. We're in like this slow-moving caravan. I'm in 4-wheel drive. It's high. The Subaru sits high. We find a plow truck, and we follow it in. I get to work early. People are like, holy moly, how'd you even get here? Bam, Subaru is how I got here. So I want another one, and they're very safe. But my brother tells me they're not kind to big people. So I got to test drive it. And now I'm like a Yeti. And I'm afraid now when I show up, I'll be like, how much is that Subaru Outback? $78,000. I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
Go get you a Corvette Stingray.
You're probably good.
Whew. That's killing me though. Who's
and
driving?
I would love to have a new car. I've never bought a new car. I've always bought used.
My current truck, it was new, but when I bought it new,
but it's a '96, right? You had it for almost 20 years.
7, yeah, and that was my goal: buy it new, and then
just drive it till it.
Well, if you buy it good and you treat it good, there's no owner that's like didn't change the oil and everything. I know all the oil's changed all the time, and it's running good. And that was part of my plan on it. If it lasts till 2017, I haven't made a payment on it in years.
Okay, so if you say you had to go, that crashed out on you, you had to go buy a car today.
Subaru. All right. Speaking of that, speaking of hating us or loving us, Flaming Heart, baby. By the way, I hear Whiskey Lassie digs this.
I've heard there's a lot of people that dig Flaming Heart.
A lot of people do. Go watch or go read Whiskey Lassie's blog.
Like she's in Alaska.
She is in Canada.
Whiskey Lasky.
Whiskey Lasky. Woo.
Compass Box Flaming Heart. This is it's a Highland. It's a blend of Highlands.
Always blends at Compass, yeah.
Heavily peated Islay's.
Awesome.
And a small portion of sherry cask Scotch.
Which he digs. Now, John Glazer's a master. When I taste this, I kept telling Scott that I was getting a lot of the peat monster. So I told him I wanted to bring in my peat. Hello. And after we do our first test, I'm going to do a little comparison test. Just a short little quick one because they feel like they're in the same family. But this is Papa or the uncle. And Flaming Heart to me feels like kind of the brother.
The nephew, maybe.
Yeah, the nephew. The nephew that might follow in your footsteps.
That's the granddad.
The grandpa?
This is like the nephew.
All right, yes. So we're going to do
grandson.
We'll do that in a little bit. I've got a couple extra glasses over here, and we'll do a little tasting. But let's do this. We'll do some water. Right off the bat, I got to tell you, I was getting... I get the peat, and this is where I feel like they're definitely the same family. They are Compass Box. But I get a little bit of a floral note as well, just on the neat side of it. And that's a little surprising because the peat the peat monster is in your face a little bit. And the Flaming Heart, not so much, a little more subtle. What are you getting, Bruno?
We've spent a little bit more time with this. The first night that I sat down with this, I picked up some of the sherry notes on the nose. This was the first peated Scotch that I've ever been able to pick up anything other than peat. But I have picked up also a vanilla note on the nose, as well as the sherry and the peat.
Now see, I got to tell you, I had a lot harder time picking up some of the subtleties in this for some reason.
The first night we had this, your stomach was kind of sour on you.
Yeah, I wasn't doing too good that night.
And I could tell because you didn't give a good feedback on this at all, and I knew that you would love the Flaming Heart. As peaty as it is.
I still have a hard time picking up some of the subtleties in the nose. I'm getting the peat. It's like a light, fluffy kind of peat. And I do get a little bit of floral. And maybe a little bit of sweetness. What are you getting on the mouth?
Even on the taste, and this is bottled a little bit stronger, it's 48%. I get taste over the peat, and this is the first Scotch, again, besides the nose, that in the taste, I can tell other stuff besides peat. And I got sherry for the first actual dichotomy, as you would say.
I don't know if you
sherry. And it moved into the peat.
So it's transitioning for you.
Yes. It's a barbecue smoke, like not an ashtray or a cigarette type smoke, more like a smoked meat, almost similar to the peat monster.
Right. I'll give you that.
Yep.
I get, my first flavor I get is a feeling or taste of old wood. I get a woody, old, almost like an aged wood, and maybe that's with that peat in there, and maybe that's kind of what you're talking about, where it feels like it's a smoked meat, like it's been smoked over some type of wood. Again, I agree with you 100%. Not the ashtray, much more of an old aged wood with peat. What kind of mouthfeel?
Mouthfeel is smoky, medium. It's not dry or heavy. At first, there was also another taste. I thought it was a chocolate at first, and then it was gone. As quick as I had it, it was gone. And I thought chocolate at first, but not. And then I couldn't get it back to tell you what it was.
I get an oakiness when it goes in. My mouthfeel is a clinging, almost climbing up the cheeks on the feel in my mouth. It's got a kind of a velvety feel to it. And again, that oaky wood with a touch of nut is what I get in there. I thought for a second I had a little bit of the maltiness, and that might still be part of what's in there. But I love your comparison to like a smoked meat almost. That's the wood flavor.
But I also do get notes of just a slight sherry and a slight vanilla along with the peat, which, like I say, this is the first medium to heavy peated Scotch that I've had that I've been able to discern other stuff in.
I do give you that. I'm getting a little bit of that sherry, a little bit of that, just a hint of that plum raisin. It's so light and subtle that I did not get it early on. And you're right. Right now I'm picking it up after a minute after I've had it in my mouth and swallowed.
There's a slight sweetness that I get. I don't know if it's a brown sugar, some sort of a sugar in there as well.
Yeah, the taste lingers through. I'm still getting that flavor, and you're right. It was much later after the swallow that I started to pick up that sherry, and you're right, a sweetness that was tied in with it.
This moved way up my list of peated Scotch. This is by far at the top of my list of peated Scotches. I'm going to give this a very high malt mark when we talk about it, malt score. And I think that's because most of the peated Scotches that I've had, that's all I get out of them is peat. But this, having that combination of getting some of the sweetness, getting some of the vanilla, getting some of the sherry, and the peat as well, I love it.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely complex. Do me a favor.
Yes.
You've got the peat monster in the kind of bigger tulip glass next to the Glencairn. Give me a nose on it first in comparison. You're right. The peat is bolder in the peat monster as it should be.
Yeah.
It's a spicy peat. And you're right, in comparison, I pick up a sweeter peatiness in the...
all peat.
Well, yeah, the peat monster is what it says. It's the...
No, actually, when we tasted it, though, you did get a little bit of other notes in.
Oh, I get a lot. I get a little bit of cinnamon. It hits me right here. Let me... spit it out.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, that's barbecued meat.
Oh, yeah. When we filmed this first, he surprised me with some ribs from a real great barbecue joint, and that is this. And the aftertaste lingers and lingers and lingers.
Bring the bottle back over here. Or wait, I guess this is it, isn't it? Set them up there. Both delicious. I just the heavily peated stuff isn't my forte, as you would say.
Love it.
This Flaming Heart breaks the mold for me. You get both.
Yeah.
The Flaming Heart also is a limited edition. This was actually a bottling from 2012, and it just depends on when John Glazer can get the right casks in to remake it. And I have heard that they are, in 2015, they'll be doing another edition of the Flaming Heart.
You've got to go get you some.
Price-wise, it's around $100 if you can still find it. Malt score?
You know what? I'd had it scored originally a little bit lower when I was over at your house when we spent some time with it, and it's just jumped up to a 91 for me. It's a 91 in direct comparison, which is, I did mention at Scott's house, I wanted to do a direct comparison because when I had this, it was just reminding me of the peat monster, but having them back to back, the subtleness, what it brings with it, the sweetness, a little bit of that sherry at the end. I still love the Peat Monster, but I see exactly what you're saying. And
I just went back to the Flaming Heart and knocked the Peat Monster out of the water. I give it a 90 though, right in there with Bart, which is high for a peated Scotch for me. Like I say, I prefer the sherry cask. I prefer the fruity, the Highlands and whatnot. But this one was delicious.
The more, having had the Peat Monster and then going back after cleansing with a little bit of water, you're right, the sherry is definitely laced in there. Again, my favorite blended still to date is the Peat Monster. Compass Box does it again.
I almost bet you if you sat down and spent some time with it, you might transition over.
I love them both. I'm going to have to go source me some of this here, because this is delicious. I agree 100%.
Yep.
And it's better than a Subaru in 1980 that got me through everything.
And also, first video we are trying a shot on a iPhone 6.
Yeah, we're shooting this.
See what it looks like.
Yeah, we're shooting this completely on the iPhone 6. Cilantro dummies.
Cilantro dummies.
Try some Compass Box, I'm telling you guys.
Keep rolling.